In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to layer your images in iMovie. So something you might want to consider when you are making your movie is to either have a picture in a picture, which just means you can add other images on top of an image that you've already added to enhance your movie or to bring up another relevant piece of information visually. You could also do split screen where you have two images side by side. Or you can do a cutaway, which means that you go from one piece of media and it cuts away to another piece of media and then eventually comes back. So let's talk about the picture in a picture. So the first thing you would need to do is find another picture that you want to overlay in your video. So in this case, I'm thinking about my cover slide and I'm thinking about adding something visually that makes it more appealing than just having the text on the cover slide. So one website that I like using for this is the Emojipedia website. So that's emojipedia.org, and they have all the different emojis that you would have in your emoji keyboard. And what's really nice about all these different emojis is that when you save them, they save as transparent backgrounds, so they look very authentic, adding them into a movie without having to worry about doing any kind of Photoshop. So I already went ahead and pre-saved a smiley face, so you can obviously click through those and you'd be able to save different emojis as you see fit. So as I go into photos now in my media and I click on recently added, you'll see here's my smiley face. So again, instead of clicking that plus sign, I'm going to choose the three dots and I'm going to pick picture in a picture. Okay, so that's going to drop that on top of right where my playhead was, that white line, and you'll see my emojis here. So what I can do is I can shorten this. So maybe I'm just going to click on it and drag it back. So this emoji will only play for partial amount of time, and that way I can add another picture for the rest of the time if I so desire. So I'm just going to lift this and move it. So all I'm doing is holding down on the picture and I lift it up with my finger. I'm going to adjust it so that the smiley face starts exactly at the same time as the other curtain. So you can see that it will appear and then disappear based off of the length of how long I have it showing up. But I also don't like its positioning. So if I click on the smiley face, something else I can do up in the preview screen is I can click on the top magnifying glass and then I can pinch to zoom. So if I just want to see the eyeballs, I can make that a possibility and then just kind of center it the way that I want it to with my fingers. Another possibility is if I click on these four arrows, I can then release the positioning. So I can drag and then I can pinch to resize. So all I'm doing is pinching in and out with my fingers. So maybe I want to make that a little bit smaller and move it over into the corner. The last option, the box, what that does is it adds a frame around the picture if you want a frame. So that's up to you whether or not you want that there. So I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to add another emoji in just to show you the same guy, the three dots. I'm going to do picture in picture one more time. But again, this time I'm going to click on the emoji. I'm not going to zoom in. I'm going to release the picture though. And you can see now when I scroll over it that I go from having the smiley face in the bottom right to the smiley face in the bottom left. And notice how that frame isn't there the way it is now if I click on the picture and add that box. So those are all options to play around with. And again, it only shows up for as long as you want it to be. Something to really be mindful of is making sure that things line up so that way it's a very clean transition. Okay, so maybe moving this over just a tad so that way it's on top of the red curtain the whole time. Okay, now another option would be split screen. So let's say I was talking about two of my interests and I wanted them to show up in my video side by side. What I could do is I would add the one photo. So I'm going to add the yoga girl in this case. And then I'm going to bring my playhead back. Okay. And on top of that, I'm going to add the volleyball player. So again, tap on the other picture you want to add for split screen, three dots, split screen, adding that on top. And now you can see this beautiful split screen I have going across. And again, I want to shorten this to make them line up a little bit better so that way they're split screening the whole time. If I only wanted it to split screen for part of the time, I could just bring back that picture so that eventually when I scroll over it, the split screen disappears and now the yoga girl takes over the entire screen. Something else that might be worthwhile when you're talking about your video introduction, or in general in your movie at any certain point in time. So now I'm going to add in a video, and let's say I added this video in, and I wanted to now over this, at this point in the video, maybe I start talking about how much I enjoy yoga. So instead I want to do a cutaway. So I'm going to go back into my moments, my photos, my recently added, and I'm going to add the volleyball girl, but this time as a cutaway. So now I'm watching the video. I'm going to make the cutaway volleyball picture a little bit shorter. So I'm watching the video, and then all of a sudden it cuts away to this volleyball picture, and then eventually goes back to me talking. So you would still hear me on the audio. And while you hear me on the audio, you would see the picture cut away to the volleyball photo and then return back to the footage of me speaking again. So you would hear the audio the entire time, despite the fact that the picture would change.